Russia's defense ministry has issued a new proposal to Ukrainian troops holed up in the Azovstal steel plant in the port city of Mariupol. Russia promised a ceasefire on Wednesday and a humanitarian corridor for remaining Ukrainian soldiers to leave Mariupol if they agree to surrender. But not a single Ukrainian soldier had accepted that same offer a day before. Moscow urged Kyiv to put pressure on the military to stop what Russia says is senseless resistance. Meanwhile, Ukraine's defense ministry said the aim of Russia's new offensive in eastern Ukraine was to seize the Luhansk and Donetsk regions. It says by doing so, Russia can establish a land link between those territories and Crimea. The regional governor of Crimea says Russian forces have already seized the city. Philip Crowther has more from Lviv in western Ukraine.
Both Russia and Ukraine agree on this point that the new phase has now begun. The Pentagon, though, saying that these are just the preparatory stages of a bigger offensive to come. But the effects are already seen on the ground. Our colleagues from the Associated Press seeing, for example, a Russian attack on a residential area in Kharkiv. And then Kramatorsk, more colleagues there, they saw an explosion and also saw at least one person who died as a result of that explosion. Kramatorsk is a very important city to be looked at over the next few days and weeks because that is not yet under control of Russian forces. They would like to get it under control to be able to say maybe further along the line that they have achieved this goal of controlling the whole of the Donbass region. The attacks from Russia have been increasing. Moscow says itself that there has been an increase in missile strikes. There has been an increase in shelling as well in the likes of Kharkiv, but also in other cities, not in that Donbass region that Russia wants to get under its control, just outside, the likes of Dnipro and Zaporizhia, potentially very important cities for Russia, maybe even to get under their control in the future. In Mariupol, in the meantime, in the southeast, not much has changed except that what we see from the ground is very limited because it's so difficult to get our own eyes on the ground. Ukrainian soldiers still holding out, still being bombed by Russian forces, and that city still not in the control of the Russian forces. Philip Crowther, CGTN in Lviv, Ukraine.
Ukrainian negotiator Mikhailo Podolyak told Reuters that fighting in Mariupol has further complicated the negotiation process, and it is hard to say when direct talks might resume. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, meanwhile, said that the second phase of the military operation in Ukraine has begun and his country isn't seeking regime change. Julia Chapman has more from Moscow.
Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says the next stage of special military operation in Ukraine will be an important moment. In a wide-ranging interview to Indian TV speaking in English, Lavrov insisted that Russia is only targeting military infrastructure, but said that damage to civilians from military activity is always terrible. When pressed, he said that any allegations that Russian soldiers have violated laws are recorded and investigated. Russia's top diplomat did not deny any possibility that Moscow could use nuclear weapons, but he pointed to his country's role in promoting anti-nuclear statements. Lavrov said Russia isn't trying to implement regime change in Kyiv, but he conceded that if certain parts of Ukraine want to hold referendums on joining Russia, that would be an expression of democracy. Meanwhile, Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said his forces are systematically implementing their plan for, in his words, liberating the Donbass region. He insisted that measures are being taken to restore life to normal there. Julia Chapman, CGTN, Moscow.
U.S. President Joe Biden and Western leaders have pledged more weapons to Ukraine as Russia ramps up its offensive in the Donbass. The White House said Washington is also preparing another round of sanctions on Russia. Biden spoke via video link with leaders including German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Scholz said Germany will continue to support Ukraine militarily and financially. He said Germany has reached its limit on the weapons that it can deliver from its stock and is working with the arms industry. The UK and Canada said they will send more artillery weapons to Ukraine.